Hi guys, I am Yumi, welcome back to my channel. Today we gonna talk about Hikikomori. Have you ever heard this term before? It's pretty normal to sometimes feel like you want to hide away from the stresses and pressures of the outside world. In fact, short-lived periods of withdrawal can reduce acute stress responses and can help us overcome illness and exhaustion. Periods of solace and isolation can also help with important phases of development, such as exploring one's identity during adolescence. But some people don't re-emerge from natural periods of isolation. Instead, they show extreme and persistent withdrawal lasting for decades, causing distress to themselves and those who care for and support them. In Japan, this pattern of behavior is so common it's now known as Hikikomori. The term hikikomori, derived from the verb hiki to withdraw and komori to be inside, was coined in 1998 by Japanese psychiatrist Professor Tamaki Saito. The government has estimated Japan's population of hikikomori aged 15 to 64 to be 1.15 million. But Saito believes the authorities may be undercounting the shut-ins. He suggested that the figure could be more like 2 million. And unlike homeless people, for example, these social recluses generally live with their parents and do not have to worry about providing themselves with food or shelter. Under these circumstances, many of them can be expected to continue their secluded lives as they get older. With this in mind, Saito believes the hikikomori population could eventually top 10 million. Now that we understand what Hikikomori means and stands for, we gonna see a day in a life of Hikikomori. Saito says, "I need the sound of TV, otherwise I don't feel well. The silence reminds me that I am alone. Sometimes, I stare at the ceiling the whole day." This guy had a normal childhood, but one of his professors bullied him, causing trauma that turned him against people in general. Since then, he stayed isolated. He is 32 now. "My body feels heavy, I am scared of the world, now even a phone call or email stresses me out." His mother, while preparing a meal for him, said, "I have stood outside his bedroom door many times and asked him to come outside, or go to a park, or bird shop. I don't know what to do anymore. I have consulted doctors, I went to seminars, but nothing works. All I can say, it is hard, really hard, and it is making me depressed too." The average age of hikikomori also seems to have risen over the last 2 decades. Before it was 21, now it is 32. So why do they withdraw? The trigger for a boy retreating to his bedroom might be comparatively slight, poor grades or a broken heart, but the withdrawal itself can become a source of trauma. And powerful social forces can conspire to keep him there. Alice says, "I went through my first hikikomori phase when I was young. I managed to go to university and found a job and boyfriend. Just as I thought I was spared, I relapsed. I have no willpower, no desire to do anything." Alice ended up leaving her job and her boyfriend. For past 3 years, Utah Onichi's world was his bedroom. He slept through the day and lived at night, scrolling the internet and reading manga or comics. Yuta refused all kinds of contact with his family and friends, sneaking out only in the night to eat. Once you experience the hikikomori lifestyle and lose reality, I know it was abnormal, but I didn't want it to change. I felt safe here. In junior high, Yuta had failed as a class leader, and to cope with the shame and judgment, he withdrew into his room. For Yuta and millions of Japanese, the pressure from society is too much to bear. For the past few days, I've woken up at 4 or 5 p.m. in the evening and gone to bed about 12 hours later. It seems, I wake up and simply lack the strength to get out of the bed. I don't even try to go outside. This had been my environment since I was born. I don't have a set bedtime or time for staying awake. When I am not asleep, I am eating or washing. I listen to music, play games, scroll the internet. I have no interest in the outside world. Every year an estimated 30,000 people die alone in Japan. These are not suicide but Solitary silent ends. A 68-year-old man died. 2 months after his death, a neighbor informed the authorities of a distinctive smell. A cleaner says, I go about my cleaning and try not to think about the circumstances they dealt with too deeply into the lives of people whose places I am cleaning. Hikikomori I tell myself more older they that I am going to get married become, and not end up with everyone like them. Their family, friends, neighbors leads to these solitary deaths. For Hyde, the problem started when he gave up school. I started to blame myself, and my parents also blamed me for not going to school. The pressure started to build up, he says. Then, gradually, I became afraid to go out and fearful of meeting people. And then I couldn't get out of my house. Gradually, Hyde relinquished all communication with friends and eventually, his parents. To avoid seeing them, he slept through the day and sat up all night, watching TV. I had all kinds of negative emotions inside me, he says. The desire to go outside, anger towards society and my parents, sadness about having this condition, fear about what would happen in the future, and jealousy towards the people who were leading normal lives. A total withdrawal from society and seeking extreme degrees of social isolation and confinement. While many people feel the pressures of the outside world, Hikikomori react by complete social withdrawal. In some more extreme cases, they isolate themselves in their bedrooms for months or years at a time. 15. They usually have few or no friends. In interviews with current or recovering Hikikomori, media reports and documentaries have captured the strong levels of psychological distress and angst felt by these individuals. There are many other factors such as culture of Japan, lost trust, continuous pressure to do well in education, job and life. What do you think about Hikikomori? And the lifestyle of a Hikikomori? Have you ever felt like one of those who isolated themselves from the world? Do you relate to them in any way? I am ending this video here. I will see you soon with more topics from across the globe. Don't forget to subscribe the channel. Bye.